So where are the rules for 21st century war being written? Well, it turns out they're being drafted in two totally different spots. You've got the quiet halls of power with formal policy documents, and then you have the front lines of conflict, where innovation is happening out of raw, urgent necessity. Today, we're going to dig into that divide.
You know, this quote from a surrendered Russian soldier, it just says everything, doesn't it? The actual experience of modern war is changing in a fundamental way. It's not so much about soldier on soldier anymore. It's becoming about a human operator fighting a swarm of machines. And this isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. It is the new reality on the ground right now.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. Who is actually writing the new rules? Is the future of war being shaped in these high-level meetings through deliberate policy? Or is it being written in the mud and the trenches, where survival forces you to invent? Okay, so to really dig into this, let's pull back and look at the big picture. One of our main sources, a Chinese white paper, actually calls this moment a historic crossroads for all of humanity, and they're not wrong. The choices being made today, both in policy offices and on the battlefield, are going to define what global security looks like for decades to come. We're looking at two key documents that give us these completely different blueprints for the future. On one hand, we've got China's 2025 white paper on arms control. This gives us that high-level diplomatic vision for global stability. And on the other hand, we have a 2025 CSIS report detailing Ukraine's lightning-fast development of AI-driven warfare, a perspective that was forged in the fire of actual combat. All right, let's put these two blueprints side by side, because when you do, you see this absolutely fascinating gap between how a major world power diagnoses global threats and the immediate life-or-death needs of a nation that's literally fighting for its survival. On one side, you have China's white paper, which is looking at this huge geopolitical level. They're saying the biggest threat is power politics and countries going it alone, which is messing with the global order. But then you look at Ukraine, and their objective is way more immediate and tangible. It's about getting their soldiers out of the line of fire by replacing them with machines. One is about shaping the world, the other is about surviving the weak. So if we dive a little deeper into China's policy paper, they're basically pointing the finger without naming names. They argue this escalating arms race is being pushed by a certain country, and it's pretty widely understood they mean the United States, that's trying to achieve total dominance. And their solution? It's all about diplomacy, more international cooperation, building this community with a shared future. Now, flip over to Ukraine's perspective. For them, this isn't some high-level geopolitical chess game. It's about sheer survival. The CISIS report makes it clear. They have to find a way to counter Russia's advantage in numbers. And they also have to overcome the very real human limits of fatigue, stress, and just how much information a person can handle at once. Their goal isn't a new world order. It's to protect their most valuable resource, their people. And this urgent need to survive is basically hitting the fast-forward button on one specific technology, artificial intelligence. As we're about to see, AI isn't some futuristic concept anymore. It's a tool that is deciding outcomes on the battlefield today. So before we get any further, let's be super clear about what we mean here. An autonomous weapons system, or AWS. In plain English, it's a system that once you turn it on, can find a target and attack it, all on its own. No human joystick required for that final step. This is the massive technological leap that we're watching unfold in real time. So what does this actually look like on the battlefield? It's not some kind of Terminator robot, right? It's more of a three-step process. First, AI acts like a super analyst, sifting through mountains of drone footage and other intelligence. Then, once it's on a mission, the AI on board a drone automatically spots and locks onto a target. And finally, and this is the critical part, it navigates the drone to that target, even if the enemy is trying to jam its signal. And the results? Honestly, they're pretty staggering. According to that CSIS report, a normal, manually piloted drone might have a 10 to 20% chance of hitting its target. But when you add in that autonomous navigation for just the final phase of the attack, that success rate skyrockets to 70 or even 80%. Think about that. That's not just an improvement, that's a total game changer, and it's all thanks to AI. Okay, so this incredible tech obviously brings up a huge question, maybe the question for policymakers and soldiers alike. In a world full of autonomous weapons, what's the human's role? Who is actually making that final life or death call? And again, we see that stark contrast. China's policy paper talks in these really big aspirational terms about peace, turning swords into plowshares.
But Ukraine's approach right now on the ground is super pragmatic. The CSIS report is clear. Even with all this advanced AI, the final decision to engage a target, that still rests squarely in the human domain.
Yeah, this is absolutely key. This isn't about unleashing some uncontrollable robot army. The systems they're using are called human in the loop. It means there is always a human operator watching who has the ability to take over, to change course, or to call the whole thing off. The AI does the hard work of flying the drone, but a person makes the ultimate judgment call. So, where does this leave us? You've got this high-level diplomatic push for arms control on one side, and then this super-fast grassroots tech revolution happening on the other. So which one is actually writing the future of war? Now, to put this all into perspective, check this out. In 2024, Ukraine is on track to produce nearly 2 million drones. But out of all those, only about 10,000, that's just half of 1%, are the really advanced AI-enhanced ones. I mean, look at that. It's just a tiny sliver. We are at the absolute dawn of this new era, not the end of it. But here's the kicker. That tiny little slice, it's having a massive, outsized impact. It's proving to be so incredibly effective that it's already shaping the future of military research and development, not just for Ukraine, but for every military watching around the world. The lessons being learned from those 10,000 drones are literally writing the playbook for the next generation of conflict. And that brings us right back to our big question. Is the future of war going to be guided by the slow, deliberate work of international treaties and the ambition for peace? Or is it just going to be a relentless, pedal-to-the-metal race for the best technology? A race where the rules are written by whoever has the battlefield advantage? That is the choice being made right now in both policy papers and in war zones.